We are back now on the Chip Shot Football Podcast here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back, Almighty Finesse. Your comment made me laugh. Dable can go kick rocks. I didn't think Dable's been doing that bad. The records don't say that he's doing great, but I didn't think he was doing awful by any stretch. I thought he showed something a little bit to take Daniel Jones and that team to the playoffs and everything like that. I thought that would at least get him a year or two more with at least with a new quarterback, in my opinion. Maybe I'm being too generous, right? I'm not really too deep into how all Giants fans feel about him. So, I feel like he was going to stay around for a year or two more, but that's just me. But getting into our next segment, looking at the rest of the Week 12 games that we didn't get to talk about yesterday. We went through 6 games yesterday. Now we have the other 5 on today's show to kind of go through them, analyze them, and pick our winners as we always do on Fridays. So looking at the left-hand side of the screen, we got the Lions and the Indianapolis Colts. An opportunity for the Lions here. They could sweep the entire AFC South if they defeat the Colts. They absolutely destroyed the Jaguars and the Titans. They scored 52 points on both of them, and the Colts almost beat them, but the Lions came back and beat them with a game-winning field goal. So they're 3 for 3 right now. The Colts are the last team standing in their way to try and avoid a complete division sweep from the Detroit Lions. But the Lions have just been on an absolute tear, and Indianapolis are, I assume, feeling good about their decision to go back to Anthony Richardson, right? The kind of game that he played, what was it? 3 touchdowns that he was involved with, 1 to Josh Downs and 2 rushing ones. That was a great way to come back, from everything with the tapping out of the game, with just growing and maturing a lot more, I think, and that's one of the things that he pointed out as well that was beneficial from this time away, not being the starting quarterback, to kind of refocus, right, and kind of know what it means to be a starting quarterback, right, whereas before I don't think he really understood what it was. So it's done well for him. The Colts looked pretty explosive on offense, so that is something that the Lions kind of got to worry about here, but they're 1 game behind Denver for a wild card spot, so that's another thing that is keeping them in this hunt and kind of keeping them motivated, obviously, to try and get these wins. But I'm not about to sit here and pick the Colts, right? I'm gonna pick the Lions. The Lions make everything look too easy, right? They scored too easily against a bunch of these teams, and I know they played the Titans and the Jaguars right in there, but in none of these games, I feel like the Lions are looking like lesser than any of their opponents. So I'm going to go with the Lions here. They're going to keep rolling, and the Colts are going to drop to a couple games probably behind Denver if Denver doesn't win either. So we're going to go with the Lions first. Colts are a definition of mediocre. I think that might be I would say that's a little harsh. They're hit or miss. I guess I'm trying to make a case for them, but I guess you could say they're mediocre. I can't really make a too strong of a case. The Colts they're very good 1 week, but then another week, with this whole development process with Anthony Richardson, I think mediocre or just inconsistent is what you want to expect, or you don't want to expect it, but you come to expect that they're in a stage right now where they're developing, hopefully, their next franchise guy, and along that path, there's going to be a lot of bad games, there's going to be a lot of exciting games, and it's going to be, like a roller coaster, right, up and down through all the tribes and tribulations until, hopefully, Anthony Richardson develops into what they imagined him as the 4th overall pick. But yes, right now, mediocre, hit or miss, inconsistent. I think all of that would fit the Colts right now. We can't really rely on them to go out there and give you an identity yet. So I would say that about that. But looking at the next game that we have here, a division game in the NFC North with the Vikings traveling to Chicago. It's the first matchup between these two teams this year. Caleb Williams is coming off of a better game after they got rid of Shane Waldron, and they should have won the game, honestly, against the against the who was it? The Packers. They should have beat the Packers last week. I truly believe that. I think the Packers have been kind of teetering on the edge of a lot of really close games that they've won, but I feel like that they also could have easily, slipped up and lost a couple of them. So I think in that situation, the way Chicago played and that last drive by Caleb, I felt that they should have won that game, but it was the questionable calls by their head coach that kind of sunk them in that game. So that was a crushing loss for them against the Packers. And the Vikings also haven't been really convincing a lot of people recently. They've been winning games. They've won their last three. Funny enough, against all AFC South teams, like we just talked about. But they've looked better. They've picked it up a little bit more, but they've also had these moments where the offense, Sam Darnold in particular, have looked like they've taken a bit of a step back. So that kind of worries you in this game. It looks like they're slowly getting there, but you truly never know. Especially against the good Chicago Bears defense, that's one part of their team that I do feel that's very that's as close to complete as you would like, in all honesty. But I feel like it might not be enough in this game unless they get good production from their offense. I feel like the Vikings are going to use TJ Hawkinson a lot in this game because the Bears defensive backs are very good. Jalen Johnson, I'm sure, is going to shadow Justin Jefferson all game, and Jettis is going to get his targets right, but it's a tougher matchup, quite honestly. So I feel like TJ Hawkinson could have a big impact in this game, and that's why I'm gonna go with Minnesota because I just don't trust Matt Eberflus in close games and things like that. So unless Caleb completely dominates this game, I think the offense and the play calling and things like that, the decision making is still going to be a little bit off. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. Um, Man, Caleb Williams is trash. He's not that bad. I can't call him trash yet because I don't think Matt Eberflus is good. I think if you're going to call anybody trash, it would be him. Shane Waldron wasn't great either. To kind of just call Caleb trash now, I don't think is pretty fair to him. He's had some good moments, and of course he's not Jaden Daniels or even Drake May, or maybe not even Bo Nix right now, because all of them are playing better than him. But I think it's got to do a lot with the situation. All of them probably have a better coach than Matt Eberflus. All of them are coached better and they have better play callers than what Caleb's going through right now. So I don't think Caleb Williams is trash right now by any means. So moving on to the next game here, Denver and Las Vegas. The second game between these two teams, Denver has been great despite, the low expectations. They've been blowing everyone's expectations out of the water. And all the doubts and hesitations about Bo Nix as well, I think, have been pretty much silenced. We just brought it up, and he's been everything that I think Sean Payton would have loved in a quarterback. And the fact that he was, it's funny, he was taking one pick before Las Vegas potentially could have got their hands on him. So the fact that he's playing them now, he's going to continue to play them, going forward for the rest of his career is one of those funny coincidences and just outcomes of the draft, right? And, in the first game, they did very well against the Raiders. And right now, the best thing you can say about the Raiders is the fact that they drafted Brock Bowers, right? They missed on Bo Nix. They maybe could have got him, but the fact that they got Brock Bowers and what he's been able to do has been sensational. So that's the best thing about the Raiders team right now. I mean, Max Crosby's great, don't get me wrong, but I think Brock Bowers is kind of stealing the show there in Las Vegas. So with that being the case, I think all Las Vegas has to do, going back to your point, Almighty Finesse, the best thing the Raiders have to do right now is just wait for Shador and Dion to get there until next year. So for right now, I think Denver's going to win this game. They have a better defense. Their offense is kind of clicking right now, and Las Vegas really doesn't run the ball well. So it's going to be another tough outing, I believe. And the Broncos will win this game and sweep that series. Then we got another division game here. The Cardinals are traveling to Seattle, the first game of two over the next 14 days between these two teams. The Cardinals play the Seahawks now. They'll both play a different team next week, and then the following week after that, they're going to play each other again. So it's going to be interesting how they match up in so close proximity to both of their games. And the Seahawks could be tied for first if they go out and win this game, because the Cardinals right now are one game ahead of them at 6-4 right now, and the Seahawks, excuse me, are 5-5. So the Seahawks could even that out right now if they go out and win this weekend. And what's funny about these two teams, Kyler's been playing very well. That's one thing. And the Seahawks got a great win last week over the 49ers, which was huge. But, they're both kind of riding a good wave coming into this game. Both don't really have a great pass rush, which I think concerns me more about the Seahawks, because Kyler Murray is an absolute nightmare to try and get down on the ground. And Geno's obviously a bigger guy, so you could at least try and corral him in and bring him down. Whereas Kyler, I can't imagine chasing him around, with these huge, pass rushers trying to go at him and trying to get close to him and actually tackle him. It's going to be a nightmare. So I feel like that point and the fact that, the Cardinals are stepping up in these games, over the last few games, they scored at least 26 or 25 points in each of them. So they've been, up there putting up points. And I think that continues in this game. Seattle's not really great at stopping the run either. So Arizona is a top 5 rushing team in the NFL right now. So I think that just gives them the edge a little bit in this game, and they're going to win and have an even bigger lead over these teams in the NFC West. But talking about the NFC West here, the last matchup I wanted to get to is the Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. I think it's a litmus test for both of them, quite honestly, because we got a good test last week where the Eagles defeated the Commanders, and that was a good test to kind of quiet the talk around the Commanders. But I feel like the Commanders also missed some opportunities. So this is really going to be a great test for this Eagles team and their defense overall, because their defense has been playing great. Their cornerback play has been awesome. Quinyon Mitchell playing great. What you get from Darius Slay. They're getting to the quarterback, obviously, with that pass rush, and it's a good test to go up against Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Sean McVay, and obviously Matthew Stafford, right? The way that they use all of their pieces is going to be a great test for them, and the same thing can go for the other side of the ball, and this time for the Rams, right? Because the Rams have a very young defense, and they're going to go up against Saquon and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, probably, if he's not out already. So it's going to be a good litmus test for both of them, how they stack up against, top NFC teams, in my opinion. So with that being said, I think the Rams get one here over the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles have been one of the hottest teams over the last few weeks in the NFL. But I feel like the only thing I really don't like about the Eagles is that they start games slow. And I think the Rams will be very motivated in this game, and the fact that they could start fast and put up 14 quick points on the Eagles, I think it could lead the Eagles to kind of get away from the running game, becoming one-dimensional, and then that way they kind of hurt themselves in that regard. So I'm going to go with the Rams. They desperately need this win more than I would say the Eagles do at this point because of their records and the recent run of form. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I think it would make it a lot more interesting if they won as well. So those are all the week 12 picks that I've gone through, I've predicted, and we'll see how it all turns out on Sunday. But for right now, we're going to get to one more segment before we get to the unanswered questions in the AFC South. And that is, we're going to go through the top 5 most disappointing teams, in my opinion, of 2024. I got 5 teams here, obviously, that I haven't been too pleased with. So we're going to go through them, where I'm going to explain why, and we're just going to have a quick conversation about them. So that is all coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere.